Okay, so horizontal, we said, was two firms at the same stage of production. Yeah, so as I said to you, Sainsbury's and Asda, they were proposing it a bit ago, but that got blocked. Vodafone and Three, are considering it. It's a relatively common, type of merger. So, what are the reasons, for and against, horizontal mergers? So, the obvious reason that you might want to engage in a horizontal merger, so if we look at some of the benefits of this, is you're going to gain market share. So it's going to give you an increase in monopoly power because you're going to be bigger. That gives you a greater ability to drive up price. It gives you kind of a greater share of the market in certain types of market. As we said before, market share is particularly important, and so network businesses like social media and so on. So being biggest can actually just in and of itself be an advantage. Obviously, the most obvious reason for generating economies of scale, the most obvious reason for merging is you're hoping to generate internal economies of scale. So if you're going to talk about this, it's a good idea to be clear about how you think that unit costs are going to be reduced as a result of a merger. So what you want to be talking about is the idea that if we join together, we don't any longer need two head offices. We don't need duplication of staff. We can get rid of some of the staff as a result of joining together. We can share research information and so on. So be clear why it is that you're thinking that costs are going to get driven down as a result of economies of scale. Also, another way in which costs are going to be reduced is the idea of the decrease in competition can also lead to a decrease in costs. So you might be able to get away with less advertising, for example, because you face fewer competitors. And again, what that's going to do, is it's going to drive up your profits. And fourthly, it's often strategically, if you're looking to break into new markets, especially internationally. So often, supermarkets will look to buy a local chain of supermarkets in a new country before rebranding it, for example. It's a simple way of breaking in. I think we've seen this in the kind of food delivery market again. It's kind of Just Eat and Grubhub. One operates in the US, and the point is that that they can eventually kind of rebrand. It's a way of each of them being able to sell in one another's market. Whereas if you try to expand yourself, you've got to buy all. If you go back to the supermarket example, you've got to buy all of the land, set up businesses, and set up, build a supermarket, gain customer awareness, and so on. Much simpler to buy somebody else, run it for a bit, gradually start to rebrand it, and then you've broken into the market. So that sounds great. So what are the main worries about horizontal merger from the point of view of the firm? We'll worry about the consumer later. And the obvious drawback is the risk of internal diseconomies of scale. We've done this elsewhere, but the business, it's much more likely after this type of growth, external growth. Simply because, where if you're growing organically, you're gradually building the business, so you've got a chance to control it. Here, suddenly, bang, it's twice as big as it was before. It's likely, that you're gonna run into difficulties. We'll talk about the reasons that mergers fail in more detail in a later video. But if we're looking specifically about what goes wrong with horizontal mergers, diseconomies of scale, are a kind of a definite problem. And again, specifically to horizontal mergers, there's kind of, this is the one where, so regulatory attention. This is the one where regulators tend to get particularly upset, because obviously, you're simply increasing the concentration of the market. So the risk, is that your proposed merger gets blocked, like was the case with Asda and Sainsbury a few years ago. all of the money that you then spent, trying to work out this merger, putting plans together, writing to regulators saying this is what we're going to do, making sure it's going to work, all that money is then wasted. But as I say, we'll look at the detail of why mergers go wrong a bit later. So that's horizontal mergers.